Hello, I'm Gator McKlusky, and this is the Burt Reynolds story. Chapter 6.
Well, Gator McKlusky is sitting on a stump with the hammer pulled back on a 12-gauge pump, watching that swamp, looking out for the law. Well, it makes the best corn that you ever saw.
You probably don't realize this, but I'm a pretty big star.
I know that.
And shooting nights now.
Yeah.
I shoot all night. Mm-hmm. Then I wake up around 1 o'clock and then run some cassettes of all my films. Then I try to get some 8x10s of myself and look at them as much as I can.
Well, we got some.
I never leave the house without full makeup.
After the enormous success of the Cannonball Run, Burt changed gears for the romantic comedy Paternity.
Okay, that's 60 for the students, 23 for the cab, including the tip, and then $25,000 to have your child.
Burt plays Buddy Evans, a 44-year-old playboy who wants to have a son, but without the commitment of marriage. I mean, basically, he was playing himself.
Don't you read the papers? I'm the most eligible bachelor in town.
This classic poster generated a lot of fan mail for Burt.
The response to the film from women has been wonderful. I've had some interesting letters, yes, and I'm trying to get to them as fast as I can.
What are you going to tell him about his mother?
Who?
Your son.
I'll tell him she died.
The romantic comedy, released in 1981, was clearly a different film than the one Burt talked about making.
I came to see you.
Me?
I'm going to do a small film, which I hopefully will be like starting over. A very serious, sweet little film.
It's good that you got that out of your system.
David Steinberg's going to direct. I want to give him a shot at directing.
I'm your friend. I love you. I'll do anything for you. I'll be your slave. I'll get you girls. I'm sorry, Jesse. It's just...
Even though he hadn't directed a movie before, I knew he could do it. I made the right choice. David did a hell of a job on Paternity.
Quinby.
Quinby?
It's a Scandinavian name. It's from Scandinavia.
Sally Field was to play his love interest, Maggie, as they had gotten back together during this time period. She was a close friend to director David Steinberg, who was with her at the Oscar ceremony, celebrating her win for Norma Ray. Ultimately, it seemed like a better idea to bring in another actress, as Sally had already worked with Burt in 4 of his previous 8 films.
Goodbye.
So Beverly D'Angelo was finally cast in the role instead.
Do you feel, as a woman, that you could carry the child of a man who wasn't your husband?
Why not? Having a baby is just a biological function. I had heard about the project about a month before I finally went in, and I had every belief in the world that I'd never get it. And I just went in just to meet Burt Reynolds and David Steinberg. But then after I had that meeting with them, then I really wanted it, and I just said, well, I'll just do whatever I can do to try to get that part.
Come on, buddy. Who's the father?
I was raped.
Raped?
But until then, I kind of thought that I wouldn't get it anyway, and that probably everybody in the world had tried to get it, and then if they couldn't, how could I?
D'Angelo is best known for playing Chevy Chase's long-suffering wife in the National Lampoon Vacation movies.
What's your name?
Echo. What? Echo.
Back in 1980, she was also in Every Which Way But Loose with Burt's longtime friend, Clint Eastwood.
You can't love anything.
I love you.
Well, he's just a great guy. As soon as you get around him, you're aware of his wonderful sense of humor, and he's so charming that you just can't help but be kind of giggly and totally at ease. He just has the ability to do that.
Burt had a lot of creative control on Paternity, and as always, surrounded himself with many of his old friends. Norman Fell, who was Burt's doctor in the end, once again plays that role.
Said I look fit as a fiddle. Fit as a fiddle? I never said fit as a fiddle in my life. You ever hear me say fit as a fiddle?
Maybe he didn't say that. He said I look fine.
All right, so what's he worried about?
His Gator co-star, Lauren Hutton.
May I see your breast?
What?
When you look at my genitals, you're not looking at my genitals. Think of them as a potato peeler.
You might recognize this cute little feller, Peter Billingsley, who may have gotten the role of his life based on this performance.
I had a teacher, Mr. Collins. He was 43. He died of a heart attack. Went just like that. Bingo.
Peter is best known as Ralphie Parker in the 1983 classic, A Christmas Story.
Fudge.
Only I didn't say fudge.
The hilarious Elizabeth Ashley.
Honey, do you have a cat?
Whale.
Big one.
And the always entertaining Alfie Wise has a small part.
Thank you for not slamming the door. Have a nice day.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
As with many films from this time period, the overall theme would probably not get approved in today's overly sensitive climate.
Do you think $25,000 is a lot of money?
Yes, $25,000 is an enormous amount of money. $50,000 is an enormous amount of money.
The concept of a surrogate mother was pretty controversial for 1980.
It's now. It's contemporary. Can't you see that? I can see legal problems. That's what I can see.
In fact, I just calculated that the $50,000 that Maggie got to carry his child would be closer to $163,000 today. It's not bad.
Any history of homosexuality, sadomasochism, necrophilia?
A child needs to be brought into the world by a loving mother and a father.
Scrap, pal. You get the best deal here, full custody. You don't have to deal with some crazy broad ruining your life, and you have fun trying, if you know what I mean.
A woman's body is not for rent. That is awful. Don't do it, buddy.
Ignore her, Bert. She's just another batshit crazy chick who'll break you down and eat your soul.
Oh, my.
Hello, my little baby. You see, this one is healthy.
The lighthearted nature of Paternity warmed over audiences, but the critics hated the movie, with Burt taking most of the criticism. He got a handful of decent reviews, but for the most part, he was criticized for just playing his Tonight Show persona.
What are those?
What are what?
Those things on your teeth.
They're bracelets.
I know they're bracelets. But do you have to wear them?
No. They're the latest in costume jewelry. Of course I have to wear them.
Well, it's just that I don't want my son to look like Jaws 2. I have a habit of making what I do look very easy.
I didn't get a lot of credit for a lot of acting because you couldn't catch me. I always think that actors that you catch acting should get another job.
This stuff is fascinating. Did you know that the wearing of loose underwear increases the chances of conception?
So does the wearing of no underwear.
Burt's hands and feet were immortalized in cement outside the Man Chinese Theater right before Paternity's Charity World premiere benefit in September of 1981. Following the premiere, Burt and Sally celebrated through the evening with Richard Pryor, Willie Nelson, and Robin Williams at the Comedy Store. Well, that must have been an incredible night.
Do your body take?
Maggie.
Do your body take?
Oh, yeah, everything. What else is not man and wife?
Yes, of course.
Hallelujah.
Even though the critics panned Paternity, it opened with no real competition and debuted at #1, where it stayed for 3 weeks. The film doubled its budget at the domestic box office.
God, that's disgusting.
But was considered a flop for a Burt Reynolds release. In 1980, Burt purchased this waterfront estate in Hobe Sound, Florida. Sitting on 3 acres, his new home came to be known as Valhalla. This includes his main home, 2 guest houses, an office, a movie theater, a billiard room, and a boat dock. This would be Burt's home through the remaining days of his life.
What's next?
I'm going to direct a film next summer.
Following Paternity, which was one of those movies I thought would be a big hit, I felt I had to sharpen my chops.
It's my turn!
The comedies were nice and profitable, but they were getting a little too light.
It was time for Burt to shake off the good old boy image and move on to something more serious.
I don't think that I've graduated from those films. I don't think that I'm better than those films. I think those films were wonderful, the kind of films they were. I just like to make some other different kind of films.
At this point in his career, he needed more control over the next film he was about to do.
I want to direct more than anything else. That's really what I want.
Better than acting?
Well, it's the difference between being a chess player and a chess pawn, you know. And besides that, you don't have to hold your stomach in.
I feel film is totally a director's medium.
Maybe about 8 years from now, maybe before that, I'll stop acting altogether, which is what I want to do. You want to walk away when you're on top and get behind the camera where all this 20-some years of working you can use, and at the same time, you don't have to worry about somebody hitting you in the face with a powder puff.
When it came to directing, Burt was always very selective before jumping into that deep commitment.
The kind of projects that I'm handed as a director, I could do it and it would make money, lots of money. I can go on directing Gators and Smokies and whatever for the rest of my directing career and be safe and make money. The next project that I direct will be just as big and just as far away from the end, but try to grow with it and grow with my actors and grow with the script, grow with the project. But I won't safe it out. I promise that as a director.
Author Sidney Sheldon first mentioned William Deal's novel Sharky's Machine to me at a party. And soon afterwards, Clint sent me a copy of the same best-selling book with a note saying, "This is Dirty Harry in Atlanta." He was returning the favor. Years earlier, I had sent him a copy of The Outlawed Josie Wales. After reading Sharky's overnight and discovering it combined elements of two of my favorite movies, Laura and Rear Window, I persuaded newly formed partners Orion Pictures and Warner Brothers to acquire the screen rights for me.
Jesus, you're on the way up. Start working. What are we working on?
It's a story of a detective who investigates the attempted murder of a high-priced call girl. He finds himself wading through the dangerous play-for-keeps world of two men with whom she's involved, a politician and an underworld figure.
7 ladies. One's got her hooks into Hodgkins, and that's the one the department won't let us touch. Now, doesn't that tell you anything?
For Sharky's Machine, Burt formed a new production company called Deliverance Productions.
Yeah, I took the name because it's the picture that I'm most proud of.
Written by William Deal, the author said that he had Burt Reynolds in mind when he wrote the novel.
Sharky. Narcotics. Vice.
You fucking low-life creep.
Burt actually cast William Deal for the small but memorable part of Percy, the film's big-time pimp.
I'm sorry.
For the first time in almost 10 years, not since Deliverance, Burt went with his natural hair.
There's something different about you.
Yeah, this hair ain't pretty, but it's mine.
2 minutes, I want 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
I know it's kind of like a helmet. Only combs one way, which is this way, because if you comb it that way, it starts about here.
A little shocking compared to his look here in the Cannonball Run, shot just 1 year earlier.
This scares the shit out of me!
This was a tough choice for Burt, but many felt that he should have kept that look moving forward.
I knew from the get-go I had to direct it. It was my baby.
Sharky's Machine not only had Burt back in the director's chair, but he also returned to Georgia, a state that brought him great success in the past.
And every film that I've ever shot in this state has made a lot of money. They haven't always been critically successful. I think that if people like them, that's sort of been who I'm making them for, not for toads.
I've often been called a toad, so I'll agree to disagree with Burt on that.
I appreciate you guys letting me take a shower.
We appreciate you taking a shower.
Granted complete creative control for only the second time, I assembled my dream cast. Shooting began in March 1981. On the first day, I walked onto the set and faced this extraordinary cast.
Sharky!
Charlie Durning.
There's only one empty apartment over there, and you were in it.
There were 2 where the people were out of
I
town.
told you to shut the fuck up!
Brian Keith.
You like ribs? Jesus. Oh, he don't like ribs.
Bernie Casey.
Sharky. Yeah. I'm talking about burying him and putting a stake through his fucking heart because he's not real.
Victorio Gassman.
That's all academic, because she's gone.
She's alive.
Earl Holliman.
Did I lie to you about a thing like that, sweetheart? I'm going to be the governor. Would the governor lie?
Daryl Hickman.
I knew you had no guts. Not only that, you got no fingers.
Henry Silva. And Rachel Ward.
Why'd you have my pictures all over your wall?
Me and Jocko.
Yeah.
This was the third time Burt worked with his good friend Brian Keith.
I don't know anything about acting. But if he can't act, he's doing a hell of a good job of faking it.
I always loved Daddy. You know I love Daddy.
Don't go overboard, huh? He was a nice guy, but he died when you were 2.
And this was only the second time Burt would work with the legendary Charles Durning.
A great actor, not just a good actor.
Because I can't think of one bad thing to say about Burt Reynolds. There is a lot that I could say, but I don't know how. You know, some things that are inside, you can't say. There are no words. So I just simply and inadequately say, he's my friend. And I thank you for that.
Charlie was, without a doubt, the best actor I ever worked with.
You organized that real fast.
Arch, move it!
Everything he did was completely real.
I'm moving it, Lieutenant.
He never looked like he was saying lines. It was like he was talking to you.
Don't have me tell you again!
Charlie appeared in 2 plays at Burt's Dinner Theater and went on to share the big screen with him in 11 movies, as well as the TV show Evening Shade.
You get mean when you're naked. I'm naked. I got my underwear underneath there.
Durning had a truly amazing career in classic films such as Dog Day Afternoon.
What are you doing back there? I don't know what the fuck they were doing back there. Yeah, you don't know. You're full of shit. That's another force back there. A tactical force. Gotta get you out of here.
The Sting.
Yeah, you have beautiful eyes.
Oh, well, thank you.
And Tootsie.
Good night, Liz.
Often called the king of character actors, Charlie was nominated for 9 Emmys. He received 2 Academy Award nominations, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas and To Be or Not to Be.
You can murder a man, kill him in cold blood, but you can't cheese me.
And was nominated for 4 Golden Globes, winning one in 1990 for The Kennedys of Massachusetts.
I gotta thank Burt Reynolds. When you're a kid and you're sleeping, you're dreaming about becoming an actor, going to Hollywood, getting the great roles, and winning one of these. And then you finally realize that in order to make your dreams come true, you have to stay awake.
That same year, he won a Tony Award for his performance as Big Daddy in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
I may not deserve this honor, but I don't deserve arthritis either, and I have that.
When he was honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Screen Actors Guild in 2008, it was Burt who presented his good friend with that honor. That same year, he was also given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
To receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame has always been a dream of mine.
I love Charlie so much.
Charles Durning died of natural causes at his home on Christmas Eve in 2012. Once again, Burt was linked to his leading lady. The tabloids were full of a heartbroken Sally Field who had been replaced by a younger model turned actress, Rachel Ward.
Sensational. Could be if she works. I mean, she's got to work. She's a little bit lazy because she's gorgeous. Got the talent. If she wants to and works hard, could pass everybody.
Now tell me his last name.
Did you watch us? Did you watch all of it?
Shit.
This was a breakout role for Ward, who went on to star in the miniseries The Thornbirds and with Jeff Bridges in Against All Odds.
Couldn't you have taken it off the goddamn wall?
Directing is communicating what the author wants to say.
This son of a bitch is gonna walk out of this building, and some goddamn traffic cop is gonna take him off.
Sharky!
You let your actors run. It's really exciting. It's much more exciting than acting.
The film had one of the best crews I'd ever worked with. I thought, if you've ever been right, son, you better have your shit together on this picture. And I did, right down to the soundtrack. Like my dear friend Mr. Eastwood, I have always been a jazz fanatic. I made up my own list of all-stars. On sax, Eddie Harris, Bob Florence, Sarah Vaughan, Joe Williams, Peggy Lee, Manhattan Transfer, Bobby Troop on piano, Art Pepper, Dave Pell, Ray Brown on bass, Terry Gibbs, Julie London, Pete Condoli, plus Doc Severson, Pete Jolly, Buddy DeFranco, or Randy Crawford. I even slipped trumpeter Chet Baker into the country. The sessions were extraordinary. Nobody took a break. They all just jammed.
In one of the more memorable opening scenes to any Burt film, and this was no exception, when the Randy Crawford song Street Life kicks in, it sets the tone for this intense action drama.
I play the street life.
Quentin Tarantino later used this very track in his 1997 movie Jackie Brown.
Street life.
Just like in Sharky's Machine, the hero of the picture is seen here carrying a bag filled with money.
Not by you.
The climax of Sharky's Machine featured this highly unique, dangerous fall backwards out of a window, dropping 220 feet, making it the highest free fall jump from a building in a film. This was performed multiple times by legendary stuntman Dar Robinson.
Because we had a stunt that was the climax of the movie, and we had done quite a few gags before that, and we had to top them all.
I need him to move it over because I'm not lined up. I don't like landing on a seam. There's something about seams that really bother me. When you hit a seam and it separates, that's it. You go to the ground. What's going to be happening is I'm going to be backwards, except 150 feet up. This is a practice, a rehearsal. Let's give her a little laxity. A little something. Yeah, because she's just hitting like a ton of bricks. It's the first time I've ever come out backwards from this height. And I figure I can hit the bag. I just kind of wonder how I'm going to hit it.
Partner, I don't care how you hit it, as long as you get up, jump over and run over and grab me afterwards and say, let's start all the way down.
Oh, I promise. I promise. I hope so. Roll camera!
Making the stunt even more challenging, Dar had to wear a face mask to make him look like Henry Silva, the villain in the picture.
Anytime, Dar!
Dar performed this stunt several times to ensure that Burt got all the coverage he needed.
You were really backwards.
4 years later, when Burt was ready to direct his next film, he would once again be calling on his friend, this time also giving him a pivotal acting role as the albino hitman in Steak.
What the fuck you looking at? I never saw anybody with bunny eyes before.
He was the most extraordinary man I've ever met in my life. I remember we were up about 20-some floor, and he said, Burt, I can't get enough start here to get out. And I said, well, open up the door, go down the hall. It's okay. And so he opens up the door, he goes down the hall, and a young couple who had just gotten married were there that night, and they were coming out the door for breakfast, and he used to yell to sort of get himself, and went tearing by this young couple and went out the window. They went back in the room. I don't think they've ever come out of that room.
Needless to say, we weren't getting the classic end credit outtakes at the close of Sharky's Machine. But Burt did take them to The Tonight Show for his buddy Johnny Carson to enjoy.
The reason they're not in the movie will be obvious to you when you see them.
I'm going to that apartment over there. Whoever saw her, saw me, and then saw you, and then got himself a girl and went down to the man. Hey, got a very he's eating it now.
Blew it already.
Keep rolling. Okay, Stefan. You're doing good on my close. I know.
The end of the outtakes is just a makeup test with the leading lady who was gorgeous. This is the makeup test.
Makeup test.
I'm bald, but I'm short in this picture. Thank you.
I got 3 children.
So have I.
Sharky's Machine had its world premiere in Atlanta, Georgia. Thousands of fans showed up to see the big stars, including Isaac Hayes, Earl Holliman, who played the crooked politician in the film,
Where are you taking the governor? Governor, what is this?
Bert's good friend Jim Neighbors,
Go all right.
the snowman Mr. Jerry Reed, Brian Keefe, Charles Durning, and of course the man of the hour.
Mighty proud to be here and mighty proud to be a Georgian. And I love you all. Thank you.
It was said to be their biggest film event since Gone with the Wind in 1940. For the time, the violence in this film was pretty shocking. Especially for Bert's fans who were not used to seeing him in this kind of role.
Thought it was a bit graphic, but it was rated R, and Burt did mention that it would be rather graphic, so.
This picture is very realistic.
Following the premiere, the audiences had mixed reactions. They all seemed to love Burt.
We loved it. It's great.
It would be real, and it was.
I thought it was fantastic, and it's worth seeing again.
I thought it was great. I enjoyed it.
But some had issues with the shocking level of realism.
You got plenty of blood.
Said if any shit go down, you gonna shoot my dick off.
I thought the movie had a little too much foul language for my particular taste.
That's right.
I wasn't ready for it.
I'll be glad to give you your money right now, but damn it, don't leave once it starts.
The most violent movie I've ever seen. I'm not real sure.
We had an option of leaving before it started.
More violent than The Godfather, 3 times.
The picture opened at the end of the year to critical reviews that were way beyond my expectations. I knew my third outing as a director had been right on, the best I could do. When even New York Times Vincent Canby got it, I was bowled over. The reviews made me very hot as a director. For a sparkling moment, I was Rob Reiner after Stand By Me, Ronnie Howard after Splash. I had respect from a group of people who ordinarily didn't look in my direction.
Sharky's Machine really showcased Burt's talent as a filmmaker, and for years he stressed how this was his true passion. But after all that critical acclaim, it was certainly puzzling as to why he would go on to direct only one more theatrical film, Stick, in 1985.
And he's a magnificent director, which is something that no one talks about. The man is gentle, warm, talented, and can get a performance out of anyone. Oh, he did for me. Burt, thank you.
That's the most fun I ever had directing. It was so close to coaching, which I thought I would end up doing. And I just loved it. And I was good at it. I brought the films in ahead of schedule, and I think they were pretty good.
People around me said, shit, you're getting millions of dollars to act. Grab the brass ring now while you're hot. You can always direct.
It was pure greed. I had a lot of heat as an actor then, so I pursued that.
People now only want the flavor of the week. You have control of your life once or twice in a lifetime, if you're lucky. Well, I dropped the ball both times. I found out it's not true. You can't always direct.
Well, I just made a musical called The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and I'd be willing to bet my jacket, not yours, that it's a hit.
It's just a little bitty pissant country place. Nothing much to see. No drinking allowed. We get a nice quiet crowd, plain as it can be.
I talk to the trees.
In 1969, Clint Eastwood talked to trees in the movie musical Paint Your Wagon.
And while you're listening to me.
Not exactly the greatest role of his career, Sylvester Stallone gave it a shot in the 1984 film Rhinestone and didn't exactly get rave reviews either.
But wiser, you created a monster, and they call him Frankenstein.
But unlike Clint and Sly, who gave up on this genre, Burt didn't let the poorly received At Long Last Love in 1975 sway him from jumping back into another musical to try and prove that it was still possible to win over an audience with song and dance.
And we can get along.
I think it's silly to ever say that you're never going to do this or you're never going to do that, because you constantly change your mind, and people change your mind, things change your mind, women change your mind.
This true story of the Chicken Ranch was a very successful musical on Broadway. Plus, this would be country western legend Dolly Parton's next feature after her breakout performance in the film 9 to 5.
If you ever say another word about me or make another indecent proposal, I'm gonna get that gun of mine, and I'm gonna change you from a rooster to a hen with one shot.
I'd known Dolly Parton since she was a beautiful, chubby-cheeked singer working with Porter Wagner.
If teardrops were pennies and heartaches were gold. What is it?
I think she's already a movie star without doing a movie.
In 1980, at the premiere for 9 to 5, Burt could see something special in Dolly.
I think she's Mae West that sings better and has more vulnerability.
Well, she is a big surprise already in 9 to 5. Come on, come on now. Those jokes are easy to do, but this is the gorgeous, sweet. I could stoop to that. I could do a joke, but I'm not going to do that. Her breasts have their own zip code.
The title of the film, along with the overall theme, made this a very difficult choice for Dolly.
I had some reservations, because my granddad being a preacher and being brought up in a very religious area and in a religious family, and the country music fans in general being very religious people as a rule.
Hey, Deputy Fred.
Morning, girls.
How's your tallywhacker hanging?
Fine.
It's not as dirty as it sounded.
Well, there's naked massages, there's tongue baths, there's somebody tickling your ass with a feather.
And I saw it as a story about life, a way to show that these people have personalities. These people have reasons for being what they are.
Ultimately, Dolly decided to take on the challenging role of Miss Mona.
Howdy, boys.
Burt was to make $3.5 million for his role, in addition to receiving a percentage of the film's gross. Not a bad deal.
Everything is going to turn out slicker than cat shit on linoleum floor.
Not so fast, Burt. You see, the studio wasn't quite sure that a film like this could afford huge stars like Burt and Dolly on their budget, so they got together to discuss other options.
What kind of money are we talking about here?
Together, Burt and Dolly will cost us $5 million.
For a fucking musical? Nah, nobody wants to see that shit. Can't we get somebody cheaper? How about Penny Marshall and Peter Falk? I bet they'd do it for less.
But they can't sing or dance, sir.
Well, who else we got?
We have Willie Nelson and Crystal Gayle ready to go, and for much less, sir.
Ah, shit. That might be all right, but Willie doesn't exactly light up the screen, you know, like Burt. He kind of looks like uncooked bacon with long hair. We're going to need star power on this picture, or it's going to be a disaster. Let's go with Boobs and the Bandit. That'll sell tickets. Make it happen.
Yes, sir.
Brilliant.
Did you remember to bring my check?
Okay, go ahead, boy. Like to kick his ass just once.
Good. You know, it's always a business doing pleasure with you, Charlie.
Once the filming began, folks familiar with the original script had concerns about rumors of substantial changes.
Well, there was changes made, but I don't think any more than any normal script. I think everybody panicked that was connected to it originally because they don't used to making movies, but it wasn't any different than any picture I've ever been on, really.
But we can't just sit around here waiting to grow tits.
It was said that Dolly insisted on a romance between her and Burt, saying, "Wouldn't you feel like you've wasted $5 if you paid to see Whorehouse and didn't see me and Burt kiss?"
Well, I wonder who that is.
She went on to say that this was just a joke, but didn't want to miss out on her chance to kiss Burt Reynolds.
The songs in this movie are more me, more of what I have been trying to do, all the routes I've had to take to try to get to a place to where country flavor of my music would be accepted by a broad audience. So I think that I have really accomplished a great deal of things with this movie.
When the film was released, some were shocked to see that Dolly had written some new songs to this already established musical, although only 2 of them made it to the soundtrack album.
We sang one song together in the picture.
Burt and Dolly singing together. That's got to be good, no? Let's give it a quick listen, shall we? It's called a record album. It's how we listen to music like 50 years ago. It spins around and you drop the needle on the little bastard like this.
Around with you, sneaking around with you, going around up to doing what lovers do whenever they're sneaking around.
One of the parts I liked about the movie, no kidding, was when we got to sing together, when we got to go in the studio before we went into film and to record a song, Sneaking Around, which is one of the songs that I wrote. And it was fun sneaking around with you, and it was fun singing about it. And, but anyhow...
The hardest person to sneak around with, I ever know.
You know, even though he had recorded an album of his own, this masterpiece here, Ask Me What I Am, Burt put in some extra time to improve his vocal performance.
Well, I like beer and rodeos.
I worked for about 3 months just so I'd be in pitch. You know, I didn't want to, I didn't know whether I was going to be good, but I wanted to be in pitch.
While Burt does a fine job singing with Dolly, his big solo performance, Where Stallions Run, was the one he really wanted to shine on, as it was written for him by Dolly.
I told her to be really brutally honest with me, I couldn't cut it, and I knew she would be anyway.
Be the hero right now, save the day.
Unfortunately for Burt, this performance was ultimately cut from the movie and also from the soundtrack. The most famous song to come out of the film was actually the second of 2 written by Dolly Parton, the closing number, I Will Always Love You.
We'll always love you.
Years later, the late, great Whitney Houston would turn the song into perhaps her biggest hit for the soundtrack of her film debut, The Bodyguard.
Everybody liked Ed Earl, especially Ed Earl.
My father was a Southern sheriff, and I see a lot of Ed Earl in my dad.
I got a little influence around this state myself.
I think he's really a good man. I think he's a man with a lot of principles.
She was just fine as long as she was bringing in the money and making civic contributions.
He just has a real hard time living with the fact that he is in love with a woman that runs a house of ill repute.
I could close this place down in a New York minute.
And so he can't bring himself to marry her.
even though he does really love her.
I love you.
Sort of what the picture's all about, really.
As expected, there were constant rumors during the filming that Burt and Dolly were having an affair.
Back when we were doing the movie together, they had us in the tabloids, Dolly and Burt, hot romance and all that. And
one particular night, we were going to La Cage aux Folles, and Charles Durning and his wife, Mary Ann, Charles Nelson Riley and I, and we get out of the car and start heading into the restaurant, and there's the paparazzis everywhere flashing pictures. And the very next day on the National Enquirer, it was Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton, their private little outing out on the town. And I said, well, yeah, with the four of us back there, just going right in with them, sitting at the same table.
The tabloids they're amazing. People come up to you with these awful stories and go, would you sign this?
do you mean you want me to sign this right over the silicone leaf?
After years of action films, doing his own stunts and suffering multiple breaks and bruises, Burt didn't expect to deal with any of that on this shoot.
You've lost a whole person since
Well, I certainly have, and you must be happier than anybody.
I am.
But unfortunately, he didn't escape this picture without serious injury.
Oh, shit!
Bert, oh, I'm sorry. Did I scare you? Listen, I know we have this scene tomorrow where you have lift me up. I just wanted to warn you, these are not the lightest. They're kind of like cement blocks. Just be careful, is all.
You know me better than that.
Once you hurt yourself, I will always love you.
Remember when you picked me up at the closing scene of that off the porch? Next thing I knew, I saw in the headlines, Burt Reynolds hospitalized for double hernia operation. And that's no joke.
It's true.
It's the
true.
truth.
You know, every time I have a little pain, I think of you.
Oh, do you?
The film showcased vintage Burt at his best, and we get to see all his different personas.
Makes me feel real sexy.
We get sexy Burt, pissed off, bad-tempered Burt,
I'm gonna knock you so flat you're gonna have to roll down your socks to shit.
sad, moody, and mean Burt.
It's a hell of a lot better than being a whore.
But for the most part, his natural charm is on full display here.
Texas has a whorehouse in it.
As always, the hilarious Dom DeLuise is brilliant as reporter Melvin P. Thorpe, who wants to shut down the chicken ranch.
The public has a right to know what is going on out there at notorious house of ill repute.
He was just wonderful in the film.
You're talking a full nut.
Why wear clothes? But everybody else is nude.
Take a picture! Melvin is a man who is possessed. Anything that's phony or dishonest can't stand the light of day. Suck. Thank you. Yeah.
He really is a good man inside. He really believes that he's doing what is right.
We're about to enter the whorehouse itself.
In this movie, you see that the people who happen to be involved in the chicken ranch have hearts.
The girls begin accepting poultry in trade. One bird, one lay. And that's how the place got its name, the Chicken Ranch.
Burt's longtime friend Jim Neighbors shines as Deputy Fred in this, their first time working together.
Right out in front of
Your office.
Son of a
Bitch.
Like Burt, Jim was also the son of a policeman, both making their fathers proud.
This Japanese slingshot.
Aren't you Charles Durning from the movies?
No, I'm Melvin P. Thorpe from your movie. Sorry.
With all the great talent in this film, the biggest surprise was the great Charles Durning, who absolutely steals the movie despite less than 10 minutes of screen time.
Ooh, I love to sweep around the wide step.
Director Colin Higgins had wanted Mickey Rooney for the role, but Burt lobbied to get his friend Durning to get that part.
So it follows that I cannot tell a lie.
Charles Durning, who, the son of a gun, came in and did work 15 minutes and he'll probably get a nomination.
No. Hi, Sheriff.
Clearly, Burt was spot on as his old friend walked off with an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor.
Show's over, Sheriff. Close it down.
A tremendous honor for the actor who had made the most of his limited screen time.
The way I look at it is it's a movie that I'd like to go and see, and a lot of people that I know would like to see it, so I'm just operating from that premise.
This was the third and final film directed by Colin Higgins, who Dolly had also worked with on 9 to 5. Higgins died of an AIDS-related illness in 1988 at the age of 47.
Introduce a film clip with Miss Parton where she sings a great song called I Will Always Love You, and she dedicates that to everybody in Texas.
The studio arranged a huge premiere in Austin, Texas, with all the stars turning out to promote the film.
I cannot get away from the man. Everywhere I go and pick up my guitar, they say, "Where's Burt?" I say, "I left him with Fred." Oh, gee.
They even turned the premiere into an hour-long television special called The Best Little Special in Texas.
First of all, I'd like to tell the men to take your ties off if you want to. Ladies can take off anything they want. There's somebody trying right there.
From the looks of the premiere, it turned out real well, and I was so relieved.
I rode over here with Dolly, and I was complimenting her, and she was complimenting me. Then I just shut up for an hour.
When award season came, Dolly was nominated for a Golden Globe.
But I thought you made a great sheriff, and I make a better whore than I did a secretary.
But Burt was once again ignored, something he was getting used to.
And then I did a film called Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Right.
And I had a great time on that, and it made a lot of money, but the critics didn't like it.
Yeah. Burt, wake up. This ain't good.
You better turn on Channel 4.
The fat Bart and that skinny putz are at it again, trashing your performance.
Well, I don't give a shit, Rufus.
I mean, that fat son of a bitch ought to eat more popcorn and stop worrying about all
Honey.
your movies and stuff.
Honey,
It's not
put
like
on
I've never made a good movie.
the television there, Channel 4.
Jesus.
Calm down, Rufus. Can't be as bad as all that.
It's time for Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds Shitty Film Review.
How can you screw up a movie version of a decent Broadway musical? The songs aren't particularly memorable. The foul language, some embarrassing barnyard humor.
So you take a lot of young boys, and they're going to be out there looking for women. If they can't find them, they'll rape them.
I don't know what happened. I don't know why they didn't give more scenes of the two of them in the bedroom. Well,
That man has made a fool out of you.
I wanted to see him, suck face in this movie. That would have.
I think you mean kiss, right?
Those that can't teach and those that can't do either, review. That's what I feel, and I'll pay for that.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds Shitty Film Review.
Well, I always just thought if you see somebody without a smile, give them yours.
I like that.
I'm not uptight about this film at all. I know this film won't be a hit.
The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas opened at #1 at the box office.
How you doing?
We did have an awful good time on the picture.
Oh, we had a great time.
Also, the picture made $100 million.
I knew it. I never got my part.
For the time, this was the highest weekend box office opening for an R-rated movie, a record broken 2 years later by Beverly Hills Cop.
How you doing?
This was also the most successful theatrical musical of the 1980s and the last Burt Reynolds movie to appear in the top 10 for the year's highest-grossing films.
So long, partner.
So we didn't get the usual end credit outtakes on this film, perhaps because that was a Hal Needham tradition. But the fine folks here at the Burt Reynolds Story Production Department decided to recut the end credits and present it in the way we would have preferred.
I like your mustache, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like to kiss you. I don't mind walking through a briar patch to get to some good berries.
Yeah. Oh, the berries have been gone a long time.
Is this kind of foul-mouthed example we want to set for innocent, young, fucked up kids?
My wife couldn't believe what she saw last night. They bleeped him out, but she read every goddamn fuck.
Melvin, I'm sorry. Enough of this pussy. Oh, you fuck. Enough of this pussyfoot. I'm sorry.
And this time, I'm talking damages.
Well, fuck, so am I. Thank you all for coming. The reason...
When you kiss me or I kiss you, all this shit in my eyes gets all in your face.
I cannot work. If you're going to break up, I can't work.
Let's just hope some of me rubs off and you'll be fair-skinned in this picture.
I might be big-breasted, too. We broke a 30 share. There's not a finer woman in the world. One time she gave rubbers to all the boys. Gotta fix this fucking thing, come on!
Goody. Ready? Yeah. Okay. This is for my toe and your leg. Okay. Y'all come back now. You hear?
In 1979, Norman Jewison directed Al Pacino in the award-winning courtroom drama
You're out of order!
And Justice for All, written by the great Barry Levinson, along with his wife, Valerie Curtin. 3 years later, that same team reunited for the romantic comedy Best Friends. A great opportunity for Burt to work with high-level talent on a film that could bring him some of that same magic he had on the 1979 movie Starting Over.
No! No! God! Are you kidding me? Goodbye.
Burt's leading lady would be the hilarious Goldie Hawn, who was coming off her hit film Private Benjamin.
I did join the army, but I joined a different army. I joined the one with the condos and the private rooms.
Goldie actually commanded the same salary as Burt, the first time in many years that Burt wasn't the highest paid actor on screen.
I probably shouldn't have done the film. I should have just taken the time off, but how are you going to pass up a great script with Goldie Hawn?
I mean, this is just a guess, but perhaps Burt got to page 18 of the script describing the shower scene and said, "Sign me up, I'll do it."
We won't tell anyone.
Burt and Goldie play romantically involved Hollywood screenwriters who decide to get married.
Of course, you realize what you're about to do is a very serious step, not to be taken light. Would be fully of me, but I have to ask, are you sure you want to do this movie together?
We're very sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right. All right. All right. We will begin by practicing the wedding vow scene.
Shouldn't we stand up or something?
No, it's not necessary. You just read through the script. But if you like, all right.
God, here we go.
Are you ready?
Yes!
Unfortunately, getting married completely changed the dynamic of their once perfect relationship.
What marriage?
Our marriage.
We never had any marriage. We went right from the ceremony to separating. No marriage.
Just the best. I don't think I ever had as much fun with anybody as I did with Goldie.
Yeah, now this is the English best friend script, so forgive me if I don't know it as well using my fake accent. I, Richard Bobbycock, you repeat to me when I say it. I, Richard Babylon A.D.
I, Richard Babson.
Take thee, Paula McCullough.
Take thee, Paula McCullough.
To be my lawful wife.
Be my lawful wife.
For better, for worse.
Better, for worse.
In sin and in hell.
Sickness and health.
With law and affection.
Love and affection.
De la François Gabon.
I'm sorry I didn't get that.
De la François Gabon.
I'm sorry. I always laugh when I get nervous.
All right, it's to be understood. He's a funny guy. All right.
She defined the term professional.
Her father passed away about halfway through the film. And I said, let's shut down. And she came up to me, tears in her eyes, and said, let's work.
But whenever Norman Jewison, the director, needed her, she wiped her tears away and nailed her lines with impeccable timing.
Don't ask him what's wrong, okay? Please don't do that.
Paula. Action, she was as funny as she ever was. Cut, she wept. That's who she is.
Right now, I need to go and tell my best friend all my problems. But you're my best friend, and I'm losing you.
Will you please repeat after me? I, Paula Abdul.
I, Paula McCullough.
Take thee, Richard Barber Bush.
Take thee, Richard Babson.
To be my lawful wedded husband.
To be my lawful wedded husband.
For better or worse.
For better or for worse.
In sin and in hell.
In sickness and in health.
With law and affection.
With love and affection.
De la François Gabon.
I don't understand that.
De la François Gabon. By the power vested in me by the state of California, I now pronounce you actor and actress. You may now kiss the hot blonde from laughing. very happy for you. Congratulations. Congratulations, Mr. Bobby Cannavale.
Don't call me that.
Oh, very, very well.
Few people know how bright and incredibly wise Goldie is in real life. She's funny, sure, but oh so wise. We became terrific friends.
As usual, the press were full of stories of Burt having an affair with his leading lady.
I'm standing before you with a frozen erection.
Don't tell my mother she'll put a mitten on it.
Well, I found some pornographic magazines under his socks. Real beaver shots.
That picture allowed me to meet another bright, sexy actress, the legendary Jessica Tandy. I was thrilled to meet her.
Nighty-night.
It's my kid. He is very ill.
The great Ron Silver plays producer Larry Wiseman in the film.
And you just leave Kenny out of this, okay?
He often uses his son Kenny as an excuse to avoid doing something.
I would love to stay and celebrate. I gotta get back to New York. I left Kenny in the hotel room. Okay, I'll see you kids.
Like several films Burt did around this time, his dog Bruiser makes an appearance, and this is one of the more memorable ones.
And then, with a wave of his magic chew stick, he peed on the spaniel's leg.
Hello?
Huh?
For his part, Burt displayed a similar low-key endearing quality and vulnerability that he had brought to the critically acclaimed Starting Over just 2 years prior.
Burt Reynolds and Goldie Hawn.
Yes.
In a very special relationship.
Now, based on the trailer, most would expect this to be a light and silly romantic comedy, but the main theme shifts to a more somber tone when it focuses on the painful and uncomfortable truths about relationships.
Moving out.
The title, Best Friends, may seem a bit odd, as Burt and Goldie's characters are already a couple in the beginning, but the film explores how marriage can sometimes damage what was a close and loving friendship.
You hear what I said?
I did. I heard every
I said I loved you.
I love you too.
Burt was ignored for his work here, but Goldie Hawn was nominated for a Golden Globe, losing out to Julie Andrews for Blake Edwards' Victor Victoria.
The movie did well. Not great, but real well.
It's time for a Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
The Best Friends, that was the one with
Goldie Hawn and Burt Reynolds.
They're best friends, then they decided to get married. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
You liked it?
We're very flattered.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it particularly when Goldie Hawn, drops her head into the tuna salad. I thought that was pretty desperate.
I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna take his head off. I'm gonna chop it up in little pieces. And then maybe I'll feed him to the dog.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
With the success of The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas and Best Friends, Burt was voted the #1 box office star for the 5th consecutive year, a record no movie star has matched since. Going into 1983, only 3 of Burt's films had lost money at the box office: At Long Last Love, Lucky Lady, and Nickelodeon. However, all of that was about to change.
And there you have it, another chapter in the historic career of Burt Reynolds.
Right.
I want to thank you all once again for taking the time to write so many tremendous comments. Hey, buddy, check out these comments. They love you, man.
You're shitting me.
No shit. I mean, they even like movies like Stroke Race.
What are you, crazy?
I'm telling you, Burt, your fans are the best. I mean, they take the time to write these comments, and it really warms my heart when they do. If I could only get them to hit like and subscribe to the channel, we could get more of your great work appreciated by all the fans whose lives you've touched and made better, like mine.
What a wonderful story.
Well, aren't you at least excited for Chapter 7?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to go into depth on how you met Lonnie and did Stroker Ace. And of course, working with the great Julie Andrews in The Man Who Loved Women. maybe you could be part of that chapter, you know, make an appearance.
Well, I think it'd be good. I mean, if I'm going to do a show like this, it should be something different.
I mean, this one will be different, especially when we start talking about your illness and how everybody thought you had AIDS.
Well, I don't have to do that one.
Of course, I know. I was throwing that one out there.
That's right.
I put so much time and effort into these things, along with my writing partner, Mr. Al Glasgow.
That's exciting work.
Wait, where are you going? I didn't do the Gator out bit yet. All right, until next time, Gator out. Watch for new movie reviews and documentary series. Don't forget to subscribe and click on that bell so you know when new reviews arrive.